Hey Money Guy family, it's your host Brian Preston with Mr. Bo Hansen, and once again we're here for the hashtag Ask the Money Guy series.
As you know, we do financial topics that go all over the place and do deep dives, but we want to do a little bit more. If you have any questions out there, you can go out to your favorite social platform, hit hashtag Ask the Money Guy, and we're going to answer your questions.
It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
So Brian, today's question is one we actually get a ton. And this is usually the way it goes. You know, someone will have been on fire for paying off debt early on, and they'll find themselves in a position where they say, well, I don't have any debt now, but I'm in my mid-40s, and I don't have any assets built up. Or we see that another way. Someone might say, with interest rates so low, how do I ever justify paying off my debt early? And we actually had a great YouTube comment that I think sets us up real well. So I'm just going to read this word for word.
That'd be great.
It says, help, please. We have a house and plan on paying it off in 5 years. There's no other debt, but we have no retirement fund. My husband isn't worried about it. I am. He has wealthy parents and land in the north, Canada, but I want money I can hold, not hope for. We are in our 40s. The house is worth between $800,000 and $950,000, and I was wondering, can I simply count on the house to act as our retirement fund? Thanks. This is the first time I've seen your show. It's awesome. 4 exclamation marks. I think that's important to mention.
There's two big things that are going on here. And what I think is interesting, Bo, is that I had two of the same questions probably within 2 hours.
Right.
Where I had another person I was talking to that had watched our Tesla series, and they were trying to figure out if they could afford the Tesla.
Sure.
But they were almost debt-free completely, including their mortgage. But they closed an email saying, I wonder if I got this backwards. And this is why I want to talk about this, is that I don't see a lot of people talking about in the financial press that the two things you got to unpack is that can you have too much of a good thing with paying off your debt too fast, meaning there's an opportunity cost that you had the debt paid off instead of letting that money work for you. And then the second thing is you can go the other side of the coin where people are worried about, why would I ever pay off the debt because interest rates are so low? So I want to kind of go into each one of those things.
So how can there be some opportunity costs? Because if you're paying off debt, that's good. You're decreasing your liability base. What's an opportunity cost or missed opportunity that exists there?
Well, the big thing is, and we have talked about this, I need you, if you have not covered it or looked at it, go check out our YouTube series we did on financial mistakes by age.
Yeah.
And in that, I detail a full calculation. I'm not going to go into the calculation, but I'm going to at least tell you the results. We discovered that the power of a dollar bill, $1, if you start saving when you're 20 years of age, by the time you're retiring at 65, can be worth $88. For a person who's 30 years of age, that $1 can be worth $23.
Sure.
For a person who's 40, it's $7, and for somebody who's 50, it drops down right below $3. So you can quickly see that those people who are saving early and often when they're in their 20s, it is a dynamic growth multiplier on your assets, that power of compounding interest. So my fear is that somebody who gets so excited about getting out of debt, I have no problem with you paying off your credit cards, pay off those high interest car loans, but you get to a point that now you have to decide, do I pay off my mortgage or do I start saving for the future and get that free money from my employer?
Sure.
I'm going to tell you, if you're in your 20s and 30s, while you have a multiplier that's double digit, you need to be investing that money. Don't do too much of a good thing by trying to get completely out of debt, because I worry about then you're going to be in your 40s, just like the listener on YouTube, and you have a house that's almost paid for, but you have no retirement.
Sure.
That's too much of a good thing on paying off debt.
Because when you let that army of dollar bills work for you and have it out there in the background working, it could be multiplying by, like you said, 88 times if you're in your 20s, or 23 times if you're in your 30s. When you pay that mortgage off, when you pay off the interest, all you're essentially doing there is just locking down that interest rate savings.
Yeah, exactly. And you furloughed your army of dollar bills. You hear us talk about army of dollar bills all the time. One of the things I get fearful of is somebody who pays off their debt too early, when you have that huge multiplier effect, is that you're essentially, every dollar that you prepay on the mortgage, that army is going into your house, and they're all looking at each other going, what are we doing here? I could be out there working. I could be bringing more money back to the army.
That's right.
But we're stuck here. We're all furloughed, hanging out, wondering why we're not growing. And here's the other thing that Chris brought up in her email. I actually want to hold the money.
Sure.
What she means by I want to hold the money is she wants liquidity.
Yeah.
Houses are use assets. And when she asked the question, can you retire off of your house assets? Only if you sell the house. If you actually love where you live and you love your house, you can't get out of that.
Yeah, most grocery stores won't let you buy groceries based on the value of your house, right? Not the way it works.
Right down the street.
And so you hit on the opportunity cost, but you said, or let me ask you this question: is there a time when it does make sense, or should you ever prepay your mortgage, especially in light of the interest rate environment we've been in for the past couple of years?
Yeah, everybody gets excited because we've been in historic low interest rates, and everybody goes, well, why would you? And there are financial advisors and others that I have a lot of respect for say you should never pay off your mortgage. Sure. I disagree with that, and here's why. I think as you get to retirement, when you actually want to cross that threshold of being financially independent means you have no obligations to anyone, and that obligations extends out to debt. Sure. That's what debt is. So I think somebody who's in their 50s, their 60s, there's nothing wrong with being debt-free at that point because the emotional benefit can outweigh the analytics of the calculation.
Sure.
Plus, don't forget on that calculation we did previously, by the time you're in your 50s, it's less than a 3-time multiplier.
Right.
So the opportunity cost of what you're missing out for is less and less. So if you think about if you pay off your house completely when you're in your mid-50s or in your 60s, your opportunity cost is not that bad. So let's let the emotional benefit as well as the true financial independence kind of weigh the scale of your decision making at that point versus trying to, always have your money working and having that risk of what's going on out there in the world of finance.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's not just because interest rates are so low right now. That obviously helps the equation, but even if we see interest rates rise and even if we get back to where mortgages might even be, 6 or 7% at some point, even then you kind of have to weigh all the different variables to determine if it makes sense to prepay or to let the Army dollar bills go work for you.
Oh, for sure. When interest rates are going to be higher, it's going to be a much easier decision to pay off the debt. But I'd still encourage you, even if interest rates get back up to 5 or 6% on mortgages, you've still got to take into account that growth factor because remember, a person who's 20 years of age buying into something like the S&P 500, there could be potential for double-digit returns. Yep. You need to take into account that spread of letting your money work for you with compounding interest.
Perfect.
So, guys, here's the thing. You can sense this stuff can get complex. It's nuanced. There's a lot of things going on. So if you feel like you get to a point where you don't feel comfortable making these huge decisions all by yourself, think about taking the relationship to the next level. A lot of you are probably wondering, wow, these guys just gave us completely free advice. What's the catch? There is no catch. This is our gift to you. All we ask if you ever want to repay us is when you get to the point, just like Chris might be, where she's trying to make a financial decision because she's got big things counting on this, consider taking the relationship to the next level. We work with clients all across the country. And don't forget, #AskTheMoneyGuy. We'll talk to you soon. I'm your host, Brian Preston, Mr. Bo Hansen.